What's going on, everybody? Blazing here. Welcome back to another Raid Shadow Legends video, and today we're talking potion keeps. Now, we've got 5 potion keeps in total. We've got Void, Spirit, Force, Magic, and Arcane. Each one of these are going to be needed for any fusions you might do, for ascending champions, or anything like that. You really want to have a decent supply. Now, late game, you're probably not going to farm these as much as you think. Early game, though, you'll be in here for quite a while, right? Trying to ascend those champions, trying to get your first 20 or 30 champions up to a 6-star. You're going to need these. Now, we're going to break down each affinity, right? Some of the things that you want to bring in and not bring in. The game core mechanics for each one of them are almost the same, right? And what I mean by that is you don't really need to worry about decreased turn meter. You don't really need to worry about, is there a cap on enemy max HP? The strategies that you can use from stage 1 works all the same all the way up to stage 20. So one of the things I do want to mention is up until like stage 10, maybe 11, your campaign farmer should be able to solo any one of these keeps, except if it's a magic affinity. So if it's a weak affinity going into force, that may be a problem for you. You may have some failures. You may need to put a support champion in there that will help them. Try not to put 2 magic affinity champions or 2 weak affinity champions in the same dungeon. Try to 2-man it, right? So after that, going from stage, let's say 12, 13 and up, everything else is pretty much the same. The ads are just way, way more tankier, and the bosses are way, way more tankier, and they do more damage. You want to try to make sure that some of your champions can come in with a cleanse or a, decrease attack or something like that. We'll break each boss down more specific in what they do and don't do and how you can kind of counter everything. But again, there's really, it's only separated into 2 different categories. It's really early on, up till stage 11, you use a campaign farmer. After that, you want to start introducing and building a proper team, speed tuned. So making sure that you have your decreased defense, your buff protectors, your cleansers, your revivers, your proper nukers for each stage, for each affinity. So let's start off with the Arcane Keep. The Arcane Keep is pretty simple and easy. It's Void Affinity. You're not going to have any weak hits. Your damage is going to be pretty decent. It's pretty much the easiest out of all of them. The boss does do a single target and an AoE nuke. It's not going to kill you. Again, remember, after stage 10, maybe 11, start bringing that decreased attack in. It really helps do a little bit of a better job keeping you alive, right? You will want to try to control the ads after stage 10, especially if it's just your campaign farmer that is your nuker. It will help. So bringing in like a provoke champion or bringing in like a stun champion, that can definitely help. But again, between stage 1 to 10, you could just use your campaign farmer, nuke it. Moving on to, everything from stage 11 and up, stage 12 and up, I would suggest trying to build a little bit more of a better team, like speed tuning with a decreased defense, a support. But Arcane Keep, pretty easy. As you start getting from stage 16 to 20, the ads start hitting harder. So decreased attack does come in very, very clutch. Decreased speed can still play here. There is no cap on enemy max HP hits. So if you do get to the boss, and you can get a one-shot nuke with your Septimus or something, it still works. It's a little more challenging because the boss has a lot more defense and a lot more HP. But if you build enough crit damage, your champion should still be able to do it. Coldheart is actually a really solid champion to bring in here because she has an AoE on the A1 or a multi-hitter on the A1 and the A2. And then the A3 is a turn meter manipulator with a big nuke on it, right? So Arcane Keep, not too much, not really difficult. You should be able to pretty much steamroll all the way up to stage 20. Magic Affinity. Now here, it starts changing. Here, you want to start bringing certain debuffs up because if you can't, this is going to take a long time. And what we'll do here is I'm just going to go up to the boss here just to show you exactly what I mean. So stage 20, we're going to be able to take down the ads. We've got a pretty well-built Marius here. One of my farmers for everything. But here we go. So as you can see here, the boss starts out with a shield. We'll go ahead, we'll A1 the ads one more time. All right. Now that the boss has taken a turn, she brings in a increased defense, increased speed, increased attack, and a massive shield, right? So one of the first things you need to do here is you need to bring in a block debuffs, especially as you start moving again after stage 10 to 11. You want to make sure you have champions that are going to come in and give you a block debuffs. Now, if you can't bring in a block debuffs, one of the other things you can do is doing a buff stripper or a buff remover, right? So like a Madame Cerise comes in, she'll remove all the buffs as long as she's got enough accuracy. A buff stripper like Marius here, 1, 2, 3, we stripped all the buffs, right? So that works out well. Now on the A1 here, she's going to do an AoE and then decrease the turn meter by 50%. It doesn't really matter. After you do get her down to remove any of the debuffs or the buffs that she has, you can manipulate the turn meter and keep it down. Is it really worth it though? No. Ideally, once this goes on a 3-turn cooldown, you should be able to nuke her to oblivion. The damage inflicted by the boss's skill for each buff on her will cause you more damage. So really important that you take away all of her buffs, or at least try to remove anything that you possibly can, or else she's going to get a 100% damage boost, which can hurt. Now she is susceptible again to enemy max HP hits and turn meter reduction. She is not susceptible to freeze, block active skills, provokes, or anything else. So we can go ahead here. We'll end this run 1, 2, 3. As you can see again, she doesn't, the enemy max HP cap does not hurt us. All right, so let's move into Spirit Affinity. Now, unfortunately, I do not have this open because they open on specific days and times. It really just, I can't really showcase every single team. But what I can tell you here is that heal reduction on this boss is a must, and you want to make sure that you bring a cleanser. So what this boss will do is they will heal themselves. I believe it's on a 3-turn cooldown, and then they will cleanse any debuff. So if you can get yourself a protected heal reduction, then that works out well. If not, you're going to want to make sure you speed tune it. Now, again, this boss is susceptible to turn meter reduction. So once you get the heal reduction on them, you can leave it on there. They are susceptible to big enemy max HP hits, so that's not going to be a problem for you. Again, same thing early on. You can get yourself your campaign farmer from stage 1 to 10, and then once you move further up, that's when it starts becoming a little tougher. Now, as for debuffs that you want to bring on the boss, this boss will hurt you, right? Especially because they heal and they're pretty fast as you move it later on. Decreased attack definitely helps. Decreased speed definitely helps, and decreased defense to provide you with that massive nuke is a big plus. And then last but not least, on this boss, you want to bring a support because it will do an AoE poison on everybody, and those poisons will hit for your enemy max HP hit. So bringing in a cleanser, somebody, or at least a decent survivor or a block debuffs is basically going to be a must for this for stages 15 to 20. All right, so now we got the Force Affinity boss. He pretty much is a tank and spank. As long as you can survive him, you're going to be okay. Again, stage 1 to 10, campaign farmer, as long as it's not an off affinity champion. If it is an off affinity champion, put a good support in with them, like a DJ or something like that, and you should be pretty fine. Now, what the boss will do is he's going to give himself an increased defense. He is going to apply a decreased attack on you. So if you're an attack-based nuker, you're going to put less damage out there. So make sure you bring a cleanser in. And then again, he's going to be very tanky. The fight can drag on without putting a decreased defense on the boss to take him down. Now, the best way to try to take him down is basically bringing somebody in to give the decreased defense, like a War Maiden or a Stag Knight, who are either positive or neutral affinity. Bringing in a champion that can maybe strip the increased defense so it doesn't drag on, and then try to use a really strong nuker. Again, avoid magic affinity champions because that will basically take and make the run even longer, right? Try to get a Force Affinity champion. You could build your War Maiden if you have her pretty, with enough accuracy. You're probably looking for about 200 accuracy all the way up to stage 20. And then be able to put enough damage on her to nuke. The one big thing here to note about stage 15 and up is that make sure you build a proper team around it, because again, this fight can drag on. He is going to put that increased defense on, and your runs are going to take a lot longer. And when you get to this stage, you really just want to get like a 30-second, 40-second run. So speed tuning the team properly. The ads, again, as we talked about earlier on, are going to be very, very tank heavy. So you want to try to nuke them as much as possible, or bringing the right type of champ to be able to provide a good, solid nuke, or possibly even a control. Moving on to the Void Affinity boss. Now this one, almost kind of like Arcane, it's not challenging. It's pretty easy, except that he will put a lot of poisons on you, right? So he will apply poisons on the whole team. He is going to do a pretty heavy nuking AoE as you move again further on after stage 15 and on. So bringing in a champion that has a block debuffs or that can cleanse is going to be really strong here. I suggest champions like Reliquary Tender, right? Or even Valerie. Valerie can reduce or increase a shield buff, so the shields can come in and take the damage. And then again, there is no weakness. So here you can use any type of nuker. Debuffs wise, I would definitely suggest bringing in a decreased attack and a decreased defense, trying to take this boss down as quickly as possible, because those poisons can get overwhelming, is going to be very, very helpful to take this boss down. Bringing the block debuffs, much more, I would say, suggested than anything else. If you can't bring in a decreased defense or a decrease attack. So just to give you a little bit of a kind of screenshot here from stage 1 to stage 20, some of the key differences that you're going to have. Early on, the boss, stages 1 through 10, again, low HP, high HP at stage 15 to 20. Boss's speed is pretty slow between the stages 1 to 10. You're probably looking at about 125, 130. After that, you're going to require the speed tuning, right? You're going to require to make sure that the champions go in order. You're looking closer to like 210, 215 speed. Accuracy. Honestly, between 1 to 10, you don't really need to build for accuracy. The accuracy check and resistance check is so low that it's not really going to matter. Stage 15 and up, though, if you're going to land debuffs, you need a minimum of 200 accuracy. Damage output, I mean, you're going to live, right? If you have lifesteal sets on your campaign farmer, early on, it's not going to be a problem. Further on, though, again, stage 15 to 20, if you don't have a proper like AoE nuker or a proper nuker to be able to deal and burst the damage out, it is going to get pretty heavy. So you are going to require a lot of sustainability. So bringing champions that can cast shields, bringing champions that can heal or cleanse, is going to be a big thing. Mechanic impact, honestly, again, you can ignore stages 1 to 15, 1 to 10. After that, you really have to start looking, especially from stage 15 and on what is going to help you take down the boss. So again, champions that bring in the decreased attack, decreased defense, that cleansing. If you don't have a short fight, if you're looking at a 1-minute fight, you really want to make sure you bring champions in that are going to counter those mechanics. So with that said, if this video helped you, consider subscribing to the channel, liking the video, and if you have some time, join us every Sunday, 2 p.m. EST for the Knights of Teleria podcast, where we dive into the world of Raid Shadow Legends, discussing everything from free-to-play strategies to pay-to-win insight, and covering the journey from early to mid-game. Whether you're a newbie or a seasoned player, we have something for everyone. Don't miss out on the Knights of Teleria podcast, the only podcast for Raid Shadow Legends. As always, much love, much appreciation. Be safe, be well, be good to each other. I'll catch you guys next time.